A week ago, the first, and not the last, BrigadeCon ended. By all accounts, a great success, raising more money than we expected. A really interesting amount of money, actually, $1,234.99. That's 1234.99. More money than we expected, and reaching perhaps more people than we thought would be possible given the amount of time from the inception of the idea to the implementation of the idea. Over 200 people registered, and then when you remove the people who are actually participating in putting the con on, about 180 people registered just to play or participate in what was going on, which meant 180 people out of the 200 and something members were eligible for some of the fantastic prizes which sponsors had donated to support the cause. The convention was not without its problems, but the level of investment and the level of presence among all of those members meant that they were barely discernible, these problems. People pulled together to take care of things and ensure that there was content running for the full 24 hours of the con. And I was very pleased to see that. I mean, so often it's very easy to pass the buck. Now, looking back over the convention, I had the feeling like there was just not enough time to see everything going on. And unlike some other commenters, I actually like that feeling. I like the idea that the archive that we have is compelling me to review it, to go through it piece by piece because I missed it. Just like at a real convention where you have to choose, what am I going to do at 2 o'clock? This awesome panel, this game, or this amazing demonstration? What of these three things, what one thing will I do? But the strength of the con is that ultimately you don't have to choose. You do have to choose where you participate, meaning that you're going to bring your A-level game to that event, but you don't actually miss the other two things, or three things, or four things. So for me, the 24-hour nature of BrigadeCon, if it packs in as much as it can in those 24 hours, I think that is an advantage, and diluting it over 48 or 72 hours doesn't thrill me as much. There will be lots for me to do whenever I feel like it over an extended period of time, and I won't feel this compulsion to go out and check so-and-so's game or listen to somebody's panel all the way through. I'll have gotten my fill. Something to think about. Personally, I ran 2 games, one on the day, one as a demonstration game that we recorded in the very few hours before work the day before. And I have to say that I owe a great debt of gratitude to my local players because they literally bent over backwards to make sure that that there would be something to show for the demonstration game. We've been playing and enjoying Fantasy Flight Games' version of the Star Wars role-playing game, and as they were one of our sponsors for BrigadeCon, we felt it was really important that we have the game for people to see. And we made many recordings, all of which fell prey to technical difficulties in one way or another. And pulling together again and again and again, taking time out from their personal life to, at very inconvenient times, I have to say, come together and try and get a live recording of the game. I really appreciate that. I can't express my gratitude enough. And what we had initially wanted to do was give viewers the perspective of actually being in the room with us. The first version had good sound, had weak video. It was impossible to follow the dice. The dice cam didn't work, stuff like that. The second one had great video, and you couldn't hear, well, you could hear one person speaking, and they didn't speak much during the course of the game. Great views of the dice, but the rest of the game to which those dice rolls applied, unusable. So finally, we had to give up on the idea of filming like the living room environment, the warm, friendly gaming environment that we have, and go for the more traditional hangouts, which at least gave us game and dice rolls to show. Although, with me being responsible for the dice cam and being stuck at work with just the one camera, the dice cam is the weakest part of that element. That great struggle aside, and with minor technical difficulties with my interview with Lawrence Whitaker, and again, I'd like to extend my thanks for his patience and great generosity as a guest. Those two areas of technical difficulty aside, the rest of everything I did during BrigadeCon was fun and easy. The game that I ran, the Porkchop Express and the Convoy of Liberty, was incredibly rewarding. I have not laughed so hard in years. And I personally find games with a focus on the comedic to be very difficult to run. My natural inclinations toward horror and challenge and explorations of morality, things like this, heroism, tend to get in the way. But the players I was fortunate enough to have completely blasted through those biases, those barriers, and made the game hilarious. I laughed so hard I cried. And if you haven't had a chance to watch it, please do. It's one of those games I feel actually translates well into something that you can watch, partly because most of what you're watching is people laughing, and there's something funny and enjoyable about that. But also just to see the level of skill represented by the 4 players I was lucky enough to have. They really brought a great deal of focus and enthusiasm and humor to the game, and I'm extremely thankful that they chose my game to play in. So I was very lucky there. Other people that I think deserve some attention are part of what was going on behind the scenes. A few people have mentioned Andre Martinez. We probably can't mention him enough. Up all night for days on end, making sure that the website experience worked, contacting sponsors and the like. While we're thanking Andre Martinez, we should also thank Andre Martinez's family, who probably had to put up with a whole hell of a lot of sleepy dad stuff. And what is BrigadeCon anyway? And why do I have to go to bed when everyone else gets to stay up and see BrigadeCon? So their patience and understanding during this time shouldn't be underestimated or undervalued. And I know Andre doesn't, so the rest of us shouldn't either. But there are some others whose names I haven't been hearing as much. For peacekeeping and a sense of organization and guidance, we really can't emphasize the contributions of Robert R. Waldo enough. He doesn't have a channel where you can see his video content, but he's a regular contributor in the Facebook experience of the RPG Brigade, and it's quite impressive to see him interacting with everybody. Other great contributions to the con that kind of went by the wayside, Null Inquisitor Sebastien Allard orchestrated a bunch of members from the brigade and from his own gaming context to put together an RPG setting, which was distributed free as a PDF for those people who registered for the con. And if you haven't looked at it yet, you have to. All of the art, all the layout, the design, all done by Null Inquisitor. Right? Contributions from other members of the brigade, plus a random generation system for you to easily slot in on the massive and still largely empty setting map. This is a quick start campaign guide that I suspect people will find a great deal of utility for years to come. So, you know, we really owe him for orchestrating and carrying this project out from inception through to its appearance on Lulu. Another fellow, always there, ready to help, taking on the difficult jobs, John Allen Large of Red Dice Diaries. Time differences, technical writing challenges, and tutorials. He was there. He volunteered. He was cheerful about it. It wasn't, well, I'll do it if someone else won't, kind of thing. He was up front and center as a volunteer, and I really respect that. Similarly, John Poland, during the days leading up to the con and during the con itself, present, accounted for, giving feedback, helping people out when they had problems, me included. I couldn't have gotten all the way through the opening difficulties with the Lawrence Whitaker interview without his direct feedback. So, you know, he's someone that should definitely be mentioned. Another real road warrior during the convention, Francois Letard. Not only did he take on a whole new game that he was unfamiliar with, took on a really challenging and old game, Metamorphosis Alpha, which was an amazing thing to get to see play out, and I'm hoping he will give us some insights into what that was like for him as a post-con thought. Another big volunteer, always ready, always cheerful and funny, Robert Ogre, and his contributions to the countdown and to many other things, his availability for hangouts and advice and discussion, top notch. Similarly, the rogue DM, Jenny Green, was always ready to volunteer to pick up slack for missing videos or missing draws and that sort of thing, both in a give and take, willing to take them if no one was available or give them up if another volunteer showed up later with a different idea. It's always nice to see people ready to participate, but also to cooperate. It's also important to not forget the many contributions of Matt Click, not the least of which was dealing with our charity itself. You know, very, very well done. Thank you, Matt Click. Outside of that circle of inner contributors, I thought it was very impressive that Channel Gloy, we've known Gloy through various names, ran the first game of the convention and was present, as far as I could tell, all the way through the 24 hours, leaving comments on people's videos supporting what they were doing. So not just watching and passively enjoying it himself, but contributing, saying, good job, great players, you know, brilliant idea, really supportive and positive. And that's the sort of thing that it would be great to see more of brigade-wide. Not just getting into the meat of something technical or saying first or whatever in a comment, but noticing what people are doing and commenting positively on it. That, I think, is impressive, and that is really the heart and spirit of what we were getting at with the gaming side of BrigadeCon. Now, the other side, the charity, I think we did very well for a beginning, and I'm looking forward to seeing what new barriers can be broken when we try it again next year. This has been longer than I intended, which I guess should be the subheading of the Casting Shadows channel. Videos longer than you expected. Anyway, thanks for listening.